Today we're putting up the iPhone 16e versus the iPhone 16 Pro. Now, why would I put up Apple's cheapest phone versus their most expensive phone and just skip that middle tier of the 16? Well, it's mainly just to give you a comparison of what you're missing out at the most extreme end. Like, what exactly is the difference between these two? Now, of course, the iPhone 16e starts at $600 for a 128GB model,
and the 16 Pro starts at $1,000 for also 128GB.
The 16e is rated to last 26 hours of battery life when watching video, while the 16 Pro is 27 hours, so very similar battery life on both of these right here. The overall size of the phones is basically the same footprint, but the big difference here is that the 16 Pro actually has a much smaller bezel. If you kind of just look there, you can kind of see there's almost like no bezel here, and that means it has a 6.3 inch display, while the 6e has a 6.1 inch display. They both have Super Retina XDR displays, but the one on the 16e is only 60 Hz, while the 16 Pro is 120 Hz. So just scrolling through things and playing video games and stuff is going to look a little bit smoother, but if you're not somebody that really pays attention to those things, I don't think you would really notice the difference unless you're really looking at both things like crazy. Now, if you're used to 120 Hz, then going back to something like this, you are going to totally notice the difference. But it's one of those things that once you see it, you can't unsee it, but if you've never seen it, then you're totally fine with 60 Hz. The sides here on the 16e are aluminum, while of course on the 16 Pro we have that elusive titanium material, which doesn't feel as good in the hand as the aluminum to me, but it is a lot more durable, and this thing just like takes hits and scratches and everything like a champ, which cannot be said the same about this aluminum, which is very known to easily chip up and scratch up, and you'll be able to really see this get dinged up in just a couple of months if you don't put a case on it. And something that's missing from the iPhone 16e is MagSafe, so you can't put any accessories like these wallets I have here from ESR. They kind of stick a little bit because there's magnets there from the wireless charging, but nothing's really actually going to stay on there. You can see it just kind of flings around. If you were to put it on a MagSafe wireless charger, it's just going to fall right off and slide right off. So you definitely do need an actual case with MagSafe. So here we have a clear one, for example, from ESR as well. And that, of course, is going to give you that MagSafe functionality. So I don't really think it's a big issue. Just put a case on it and you'll be good to go. But quickly, that does bring us to a sponsor for today's video, and that is ESR.
This is ESR's Halo Lock Classic Hybrid case with camera control. Lots of cases out there don't protect the buttons on your phone, especially the camera control that's on the iPhone 16s and 16 Pro. And that's important because button repairs can cost up to $750. This camera control has been reinforced with tempered glass that can withstand up to 30 kilograms of point pressure and 120 kilograms of surface pressure. This prevents scratches and shattering. It's made with a 3-layer structure that has a tempered glass, a PCB board, and a PC frame. This all eliminates gaps and keeps the button dust free. That PCB core has 6 upgraded capacitive conductive stacks, so it makes it super easy to click it, to lightly press it, and to slide your finger across it to use it to take pictures. There's also an anti-fingerprint coating so that your finger always slides well and it doesn't stick. The great thing is that this case still has 1500G of magnetic strength, which is twice as strong as Apple's cases. So when you put this on a wireless charger, you can see here you can shake it as much as you want, it's not coming off. And this is still going to give you 11 foot of drop protection, which is 3 times the military grade standard. And we still manage to have the camera guard, which doubles as a stand so that you can watch content or use it to just prop up to record yourself or FaceTime. So make sure to check out the Halo Lock Classic Hybrid case with the camera control down below in the description, and thanks to ESR for sponsoring this video.
Now, the biggest difference here between these two that I think most people are going to notice and most people out there are going to care about is the fact that the camera system is completely different. We only have one lens on the iPhone 16e, a 48 megapixel lens, and it has a 2x digital zoom. So if we go here in the app, you can see that we have that 2 on there, but that's just digital zoom. It's not actually a 2x lens. Meanwhile, if we go on the iPhone, you of course can see that we have a wide angle lens, a 2x and a 5x lens on here. But that 2x right here is also a digital zoom. So unless you go to the 5x, then you're using an actual lens on here. But overall, 3 lenses here versus 1 lens. Of course, a lot more versatility on the 16 Pro. So if you take a lot of pictures all the time and everything like that, then maybe you can make the excuse here that it's worth spending an extra $400 here. But honestly, I mean, the pictures that come out of the 16 Pro, while really good, aren't going to replace a traditional camera, and you might still have to buy a traditional camera if you take a lot of really good pictures and stuff like that. So you could make the case that this takes the pictures that you might need to take for social media and Snapchat and all those apps. But how about we do a blind camera test comparison that you can see both of these, and I'll reveal which is which after it so that you can kind of see which one is better, if you can tell a difference. Can you even tell a difference? And I'm going to go ahead and just skip the wide angle, of course, since we don't have that option on the 16E, but I'll do the 2x on both of them as well in some of the photos. You'll see that around here in the video. And I'll also do 5x. So I'll zoom into 5x on the iPhone 6E and take some pictures like that and compare it to the lens on the 16 Pro. And who knows, maybe you won't be able to tell the difference given how much Apple actually processes these images on device and tries to make them look pretty before it shows them to you. So which side did you actually like better while you were looking at it? I think a lot of them actually are very, very close and basically similar and basically the same shot, honestly, just some differences. But is there a $400 difference between them? Honestly, in my opinion, no. If you went and bought a $400 SLR and took some pictures, those would be better than anything taken on these. Of course, that's dependent if you know how to actually use the camera. And for the video, I think the same thing. In some of them, it's just very close. If you kind of like look closely, you might be able to tell in some of them that one is quite a bit better than the other one. But again, it just really depends, like how often are you using that 5x lens on the iPhone 16 Pro or the wide angle. You know, it depends on your use case. I definitely do believe this takes much better pictures than the iPhone 15, and it's probably the same, honestly, as the iPhone 16 or very close to them. So if you're looking for a used iPhone 15 instead of this, I would definitely rather get this. I think this takes better pictures. It just processes them better. And of course, you're going to get Apple Intelligence updates in the future and stuff like that. Now, for any other differences, this one right here, the 16E, has the A18 chip. I believe it's a bin chip, so it's not as good as the one that's on the iPhone 16 models. The difference might be slight. It might not be super noticeable, but it's definitely not as good of a chip, I guess. Meanwhile, this one has the A18 Pro chip. So this is going to, of course, be the latest and greatest for gaming and all those things. But are you really pulling up AAA games on this? I don't think most people are. They also both have 8 gigs of RAM, and that's mainly to do with Apple Intelligence. So overall, I don't think the differences are that huge, honestly. I think you can easily save the $400 if you don't need these things, if you don't need to have the, the best of the best. And honestly, what even is the best of the best? Having the iPhone 16 Pro isn't magically going to make you a better video shooter or a better photo shooter. You can take better pictures if you know what you're doing with the iPhone 16e right here, and better video. So it just depends on the person. Yes, someone that has a lot of knowledge can definitely use each of these lenses on the 16 Pro to their full potential and get something that you cannot get out of the 16e. But do you have that knowledge? Do you want to do all that? I just feel that most people do not, and you just want a simple phone that's going to take pictures, that's going to take videos, easy to use. I think this is just the way to go. The only thing I haven't mentioned is that we do have that camera control that Apple announced here on the 16 Pro, and honestly, I don't really use it much aside to actually just launch the camera. I've used it a couple times to take pictures, but it doesn't really come up very often as much as, for example, the action button. So to end this, I wanted to just say that you shouldn't feel that if you're buying the iPhone 16e, like you're missing out on anything on not getting the 16 Pro. I think we fall into advertising gimmicks. We fall into like, everyone has this phone and so I want it too type of thing, but you should be buying the phone that's best for you. And if you can save money whenever you can, you should. You really shouldn't be giving these big companies any more money than you need to be giving them. Too many people nowadays just go ahead and buy the flagship device just because it's the flagship device and proceed to not use any of those things over the course of the year and then upgrade the next year. I really think people should stop doing that. There's really no reason to do that. I wouldn't be doing that if it wasn't because I make these videos. This is the phone that should be in most people's pocket. And you can argue that maybe it's a little overpriced from Apple. Maybe it should have been cheaper. Maybe it should have had 120 hertz. But the list goes on, and it's honestly easier to find things to nitpick, to argue about constantly than it is to be like, you know what? This phone makes sense for most of the people out there. And if they want an iPhone and they want to save some money, this is the newest, cheapest phone from Apple, and it's going to work fantastically well. And you're not going to be missing out on much of anything at all if you don't get the one that's $400, $500, $600 more expensive. But that's the iPhone 16e, the iPhone 16 Pro. Which one do you think is more worth it? Would you save the $400 and get the 16e, or would you still go ahead and shell out the extra $400, get the 16 Pro, and then see the 17 Pro next year come out, which is better than this one, and then want to get that one and just keep wasting money every year? Questions. I guess for me, you'll see me in line come September for the 17 Pro. No, but yeah, thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye.